Hello everyone, welcome to this video on continuous reciprocation of pneumatic cylinders. I am G. Madhumita, Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechatronics Engineering at SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Let us try to first understand what continuous reciprocation of pneumatic cylinder means. A continuous reciprocation of cylinder is basically an automated mechanical process where the piston inside a pneumatic cylinder will move to and fro or back and forth continuously without human intervention, which means it repeats the extension and the retraction cycle without manual intervention in an automatic manner. A continuous reciprocating system will keep on working continuously as long as the fluid or the air supply is active. It can also operate continuously from the start of the operation till the end of it, which can be controlled by a human operator. It is widely used in various industrial applications that requires repeated linear movements such as punching machines, stamping machines, material handling or sorting machines and so on. So this is a very simpler and most commonly used circuit in industrial automation applications. So let us now see how it works. A continuous reciprocation circuit basically relies on a continuous supply of pressurized air or compressed air that is directed in opposite sides of the cylinder's piston, thereby reversing the direction of the actuation of the piston at the end of each stroke. Say for example, by default, let us take an example of a single acting cylinder. A single acting cylinder by default will be in the retracted position. So when the cylinder is in the retracted position, there needs to be a sensor which senses whether the cylinder is in the retracted position or not. Similarly, once the cylinder has completely extended, there need to be a sensor which senses the complete extension of this cylinder. And hence, the continuous reciprocation circuit of this cylinder will basically rely on the operation of two sensors, which can either be limit switches or some roller or mechanically actuated DCVs that can help in sensing the extremes of piston strokes. Say the extended stroke of the cylinder or the retracted stroke of the cylinder are to be sensed by the limit switches. Based on the information coming from the limit switches, the main spool of the DCV or the main DCV which controls the cylinder has to reverse or change its position to reverse the direction of fluid flow into the cylinder, thereby making the cylinder to continuously extend and retract. Say for controlling a single acting cylinder, for continuous reciprocation, the type of DCV that is required will be a double pilot actuated DCV. So I will take a 3x2 DCV. The 3x2 DCV can be configured by double clicking on it, and you can find out the kind of actuation that you can give to the left hand side and the right hand side. So the two positions of this DCV are mentioned here, where the normally open position will be to the left actuation and the normally closed position will be to the right actuation, and by default we want the DCV to be a normally closed DCV. The method of actuation for both the sides of the DCV is set to pneumatic, which makes this DCV to be a double pilot actuated 3x2 DCV. So once the DCV is chosen, let us now try to connect the DCV's output to the input of the cylinder. Now, we need to configure the cylinder to give the actuating label to sense the retracted and the extended position. And this is actually done with the help of roller actuated 3x2 DCVs. So again, I'll take a 3x2 DCV and I can configure this 3x2 DCV in order to make it a roller actuated spring return DCV. So The left hand side actuation, I'll choose it to be a roller actuated under mechanical section, and the right side actuation or the return mechanism will be spring. So the DCV that is used for sensing the extended limits of the cylinder's actuation will be a roller actuated 3x2 spring return DCV. So I will be using two such DCVs. For sensing the extended and the retracted position. One DCV will be connected at the beginning of the stroke length of the cylinder. The other DCV will be connected at the end of the stroke length of the cylinder. In order to notify the physical limit switches into assimilation platform, we will notify them with labels. So for doing that, let us double click on the cylinder. The configuration block for the cylinder will now open up. It can be noted that under configuration, you can note down the type of a cylinder. It's a single acting cylinder with one piston rod, and it has a single acting spring return mechanism which is connected to the extension stroke. Go to actuating labels. Under actuating label, we need to specify the labels that will denote the limit switches for sensing the retracted and extended position. Say let us give name or labels like RET. For example, this is a label of the sensor or name of the sensor that is used to sense the retracted position of the cylinder. And let the retracted position start at the 0th stroke length, which means the initial position of the cylinder's stroke length. And once the cylinder has completely extended, it will be sensed by the extended limit switch, and I give label as EXT, and let the stroke length at which this sensing has to happen be the complete stroke length of the cylinder, and so we will mention that as 50 mm, as the single acting cylinder that is chosen here by default has 50 mm stroke length. So once I give OK, you can see that on top of the cylinder, you can find the actuating labels appearing. So now RET is used to sense the retracted position, and EXT is the name of the sensor that is used to sense the extended position. Now, we have to label these DCVs with the same label as we gave for the limit switches. So the first DCV that I have here, I'll click on the roller, and you could see a dialog box opens up where you can give the name of the cylinder, name of the label as RET. Once the label is given, you can see the limit switch has changed its position to an actuating condition. The reason why this limit switch has shifted its position is because the cylinder is by default in its retracted position. So the sensor which is mounted physically next to the cylinder will be actuated because the cylinder is in the retracted position, and the sensor will get actuated because of it, which means the piston rod end will be hitting the roller of this limit switch, and so the limit switch DCV's spool would have shifted, thereby allowing flow through it. Whereas the other DCV is used for sensing the extended position, and let it be labeled as EXT. And this DCV will remain in a normally closed position itself, because now in the current state in which the cylinder is in, which is the default retracted position, the extended limit switch is not sensing. So it will stay remaining in the normally closed position. Now let us give the actuating signal to the main valve which controls the cylinder. Now you can see that on either side, the two positions, the left position as well as the right position, the default position is the right position, which is normally closed, where flow will not go into the cylinder. If the DCV is connected to the left position, it will cause the cylinder to extend, if the DCV is connected to the right position, it will cause the cylinder to retract. So now let us try to understand the logic behind continuous reciprocation. The cylinder has to extend only if it is retracted, and the cylinder has to retract if it is extended, and that will be correspondingly sensed by the limit switches RET and EXT. Now in the current situation where the cylinder is retracted, now I can give the output of that retracted limit switch to the pilot port of the main 3x2 double pilot actuated DCV. So now what happens when the cylinder is retracted? The retracted limit switch will give signal. It will allow airflow into this DCV, which will give the pilot port, shifts the DCV's spool and cause the cylinder to extend. Now assuming the cylinder, so let me just show that in simulation now. Before we could run the simulation, let us give the required air supply to the circuits. So let me connect a compressor source and an air service unit. The output of the air service unit will be connected to the main spool of the DCV, a main DCV which controls the cylinder. And also the limit switches, which are nothing but roller actuated spring return DCVs, also draws air supply from the compressor source. Now if I run the simulation, you can see that if, as the cylinder is in the retracted position, the cylinder is in the retracted position, it was actuated, the air supply goes into this pilot port of the DCV, which causes the cylinder to now extend. Now as the cylinder has extended, now the extended limit switch, the piston rod of the cylinder would have hit the roller of the extended limit switch, and so the extended limit switch would change its position, thereby it is allowing flow through it. Now this output air coming from the extended limit switch has to be connected to the right side actuation of the cylinder, right side actuation of the 3x2 main DCV. This ensures the air that is occupied in the cap end of the single acting cylinder escapes into the atmosphere through the exhaust port from port 3. So this ensures continuous operation. In the rest of the third port, let me connect the silencers to the exhaust port of the DCVs. Now let us try to understand the actuation. I'll press the start button. The cylinder is in the retracted position. The main DCV shifted its position and the cylinder has extended. And after extending, the extension limit switch will sense it and it will give the pilot signal to the right side actuation, and it will cause the cylinder to retract because of the spring force. One important point to be noted here is that the DCV that is used in this continuous reciprocation circuit, which acts as a main DCV controlling the cylinder, is a double pilot actuated 3x2 DCV. This kind of a double pilot actuated DCVs are also called as memory valves, for the reason that they will stay in the last actuated position unless until the opposing actuation is given, even if the actuating signal is cut off. Say for example, once the cylinder is, I'll put it through step by step simulation. You can see like the cylinder has extended. You can see once the cylinder has extended, it is no longer in the initial retracted position, but it has not reached the extended position also. It is in the mid of its traversal. During that position, the limit switch meant for sensing the retracted position will not be giving you the air signal, and the air supply coming from that will be cut off because of this spring return. So the pilot port will be cut, but the DCV will still remain in the normally open position because there is no automatic return mechanism provided by a spring because there is no spring here on the right side actuation. And the right side actuation is possible only if there is a pilot connection that comes from the other limit switch, which will be giving signal only after the extension process is complete. You can see it here. Once complete extension is complete, then the extended limit switch will sense it. Now this allows air supply to the right side actuation, and this makes my DCV to change its position, and this causes the cylinder to retract. And when the cylinder is retracting, after it has come past the extended position, again when it is at the midst of its traversal, the extended limit switch will no longer give signal. This makes it the output of the extended limit switch cutting off the power supply to the pilot port, but the DCV will still remain in the right side actuation because there is no other actuating mechanism on the left hand side, and this process continues. So this is how a continuous reciprocation circuit works for a single acting cylinder. Next, let's try to build the continuous reciprocation circuit for a double acting cylinder. So for which a double acting cylinder will be taken, and this double acting cylinder will be controlled by a 5x2 double pilot actuated DCV. The DCV is configured to be operated pneumatically on both sides, so this becomes a 5x2 double pilot actuated DCV. Similarly, let us configure the cylinder for labeling the retracted and extended position of the cylinder. And one thing to be noted in the simulation environment is same labels should not be used for different elements. So let us use a different label here for the two cylinders, for the double acting cylinder here. So let us give a name like A0, which is another way of convention, another convention of labeling. Let A0 denote the retracted position, which will start at 0, position of the stroke length. And let A1 denote the extended position, which will be covering the complete stroke length of the double acting cylinder, which in this case is up to 100 mm. So A0 is for the retracted position, which starts at 0, and A1 is for sensing the extended position, which ends at 100 mm. Now the cap end of the double acting cylinder is connected to port number 4 of the DCV, and rod end port of the double acting cylinder is connected to port number 2 of the DCV. A similar roller actuated DCVs are taken, and let them be named as A0, labeled as A0, one for sensing the extended position, the other is for sensing the retracted position. A0 is for sensing retracted position, and A1 is for sensing extended position. And the rest of the connection remains the same as a single acting cylinder's connection. So let us have a compressed air source, which is connected to port number 1 of these DCVs, which ensures the compressed air source goes into these DCVs. And if the cylinder is retracted, it will be sensed by A0 limit switch, which gives the actuating signal to the main spool or main DCV to make it extend. So now air enters into the cap end of the cylinder, and the cylinder will extend. And once the cylinder starts to extend, A0 will no longer give signal, but it will still remain in the left side actuation, making the cylinder to extend. And after the cylinder has completely extended, it will be sensed by the A1 limit switch. And once the A1 limit switch gets actuated, the output air supply coming from A1 will actuate the right side actuation of the main spool of the DCV. And the DCV will shift its position, causing air to flow from port number 1 through port number 2 to go into the rod end of the double acting cylinder, thereby causing it to retract. So this circuit is, this is how a circuit for continuous reciprocation of a double acting cylinder will look like. Now let me run the simulation, and You can see that double acting cylinders reciprocation. So continuous reciprocation of a double acting cylinder and single acting cylinder is a very simplest and the most commonly used automation circuit in fluid power systems, which is used for doing repetitive tasks of making the cylinder to extend and retract continuously to do repetitive tasks like stamping, punching, and so on. So thank you for watching this video. Happy learning.